Good morning, everyone. It's so glad to see you again. If you are with me, if you are a morning warrior, it's 7:30 a.m. on a Friday. It's January 16th, 2026. We're halfway through the first month of 2026, which means we're 1/24th of the way through 2026. Good morning, Tom. Nice to have you along. I am excited. It feels kind of strange. It seems like it's been a while since I've been on here because it has. It's been ever since Monday. So a little different than what I'm used to, but hey, I'm excited about being here. I got lots of great stories for you. At least I think they're great. I like them, and I hope you like them too. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, it's great to be back with you. It turned winter while we were gone. It was a little bit of winter on Monday, but it is winter in central West Virginia now. The ground is covered. It got cold last night into the teens. And it looks like winter is here to stay, at least for today. Good morning, Susan. Oh, my goodness. So we have a birthday. You want to share with us whose birthday it is? I guess it's Tom's, so I'll share it. Great to have you along. I know, going from Monday to Friday, I may have kind of lost some people on this 7:30 thing. Good morning, Janet. Nice to have you along. Or it may encourage people to remember that it's on Friday. I don't know. I think next week I'll do the same thing, Monday and Friday, and see how that works out. May stay there, may change. Who knows what the future has? But it is great to be here with you. It's new every morning. That's the podcast. I am your host, Tim Koger. I am on here right now every Monday and Friday at 7:30 a.m. to share with you stories that you may not hear anywhere else, and maybe a little personal insight from me, which you will get today, a little bit of that. So anyway, I have been gathering stories a little bit throughout the week here and there. I actually added something this morning. Which I normally do most of it in the morning. So it's a little different for me. It's kind of nice not to have to get up and spend a lot of time getting ready. Anyway, I know that some of you are out there will be watching this in the afternoon, and it will still be winter in the afternoon. Just the sun will be out. It might be a little bit warmer than it is now, but anyway, so let me get started with these stories. There is a stretch of ground in the desert of the United States, Arizona in particular, that may become America's Autobahn. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's a European area where there is no speed limit on the roads. So there's an Arizona lawmaker that wants to give drivers the green light to drive as fast as they deem, and I quote, reasonable and prudent, whatever that is. Reasonable and prudent will be different things for different people, I have a feeling. But along some of the state's long stretches of, paved road that's, there's just not much out there, but desert probably. Now, it's kind of interesting because he says the lack of a speed limit will actually reduce deadly crashes. That's what he says. Let's look at some other things. Now, a traffic safety advocate says the bill will invite bad wrecks and, lead to higher insurance premiums and such as that. Good morning, Sherry. Nice to have you along. I don't know. That's what safety advocates say. Now, Nick Cupper, which is this Arizona senator, dove into Montana's traffic data. He looked a lot of it. He looked at years on speed limit and found evidence that a lack of clear speed limit has actually lowered traffic fatality metrics there. Interesting. In a de-restricted zone, this is his quote, in a disrestricted zone, their vehicle fatality rate by vehicle mile traveled was actually lower than it has been when they didn't. He said it's safer to get the combination of freedom and safety. Now, absolute speed, Cupper says that drivers usually cruise between 75 and 80. Okay? Good morning, Angie. Nice to have you along. Now, my question for you is, if you are in Arizona and you are driving along a long, narrow, 2-lane desert road for miles and miles and miles, what speed are you planning on going if there is no speed limit? So you're not going to get caught for speeding. You're in your car, you're driving along, it's pretty straight, not a lot of people. Of course, you see a car here and there. What speed are you going to drive? Yeah, I don't know. I'm telling myself, as I sit here this morning, that I'm probably going to set my cruise at around 80. But then there's going to be that little boy inside of me that wants to go faster and faster and faster. That little boy. So it's hard to say. Next story. The 5-year cancer survival rate in the U.S. has reached 70% for the first time, according to the American Cancer Society report. It was released earlier this week. The figure is based on analysis from 2015 to 2021, so it's not super new information, but it is up from 49% in the mid-70s. So from 49% up to right at 70%, which is pretty good. Yeah, yeah. So are you asking, Tommy? You asking Susan to answer the question about how fast you would drive? So anyway, it went from 49% in the mid 70s, 63% in the mid 90s. Okay, so that was about 14%, and then from there it went up 7% from the mid 90s to now, which doesn't sound like a big raise, but it still continues to go up. Hi, sweetheart. Glad you could watch. Let's see what you think about this next story. Their analysis of 99 bee tongues, yes, you heard me right, bee tongues, suggests that queen bees retire once worker bees are born because, they've always said that they retire because, they're tired, they want to rest, whatever reason, the queens. But this analysis suggests that the bees' tongues are better suited to collect nectar in the workers. Yeah, I think 80 is a pretty good number. The question is, Sherry, when you start out at 80, would you stay there or would you be tempted to ease up? Because I'm thinking that I would start at 80, but I'm not sure I could stay there. Anyway, so the queen bees actually retire, it appears, because the workers' tongues are more apt to be suited to collect nectar. So basically she gets out of the way and says, hey, you guys are better at this, go for it. Doesn't sound common for queen bees, but anyway, we'll see. My next story is about Aldi. They're doing great in the country, and they're planning on opening 180 new stores. That's the grocery store chain. 180 new stores this year. Beyond this year, they plan to open 400 more U.S. locations by 2028, and it comes because they're doing great. And one of the reasons they're doing great is because they sell affordable food. Now, I'm not taking sides on Aldi. I know we shop there a little bit. When I say we, I'm saying Chris. I mean, I do too a little bit, but that's one of the reasons that they're growing, because they are known for affordable foods. So we'll see. 400 new stores is a lot in the next few years. Okay, there are two leading theories on workout impact on bodies, energy levels. Okay, there's two different theories. Okay, theory number one is that your body has a set amount of energy that it can spend in a day. So if you're out exercising a lot, early in the day or whenever, then you have to your body has to slow down, slow your immune system down. It'll slow you down because you only have so much energy and it doesn't want you to use it all up. So it will help you slow down because you did that. But researchers have found new evidence that favor the other theory. And the other theory, which is our energy budgets are flexible and additive. So morning physical activity allows you to increase the total amount of energy a person spends. So if you exercise a lot, once your body is rested, it's ready to exercise some more. It's ready. It's revigorated, invigorated, whatever that word is. So I don't know. What do you all think? Kevin Davey, which is an expert in the field, and this is his quote: "Our study found that more physical activity is associated with higher calorie burn regardless of the body composition, and that this increase is not balanced out by the body reducing energy spent elsewhere." So they're basically saying, if you work out, that's great. You're gonna still be able to have lots of energy the rest of the day, and that's a good thing. And I think I kind of agree with him, because my experiences, of course, I'm not a workout king, okay? So don't misunderstand. But I know that when I've done a lot of exercising early in a day, while it wears me down a little bit, it's temporary. An hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later, I think I have just as much energy as I did before I worked out. And so I kind of agree with that. Next story. I'm thinking that since I'm only doing this twice a week, these may be longer, because I'm looking at the time and I'm looking at what I got left. So anyway, so question: is it really rude to respond to a text with a one-word answer? Do you do that a lot? Look, I'm not unreasonable, and I understand that communication is ever changing, and I'm the kind of person that has a tendency to over communicate at times, I've been told. And I know that generational communication has changed over the years. I mean, when I was young, we wrote everything. And then, along came emails. Quite a while ago, actually. I mean, young people today don't even use emails unless they have to. And of course, text messages came, and I don't know what Generation Alpha's doing with their phones as far as communication. I don't know. But I know that I am the kind of person that likes to have, good communication. And although I am prone to over-explain myself, ask my wife, the real answer is, texting. It can be, I can over-communicate. I can overkill it. So the problem with one-word responses is that they shift the mental load onto the other person. Let's say you ask someone a question that cannot be answered with one word, but they answer it with one word. Like, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and they say yes, or say maybe, or, you're not getting the information you need. So there are times when one-word answers won't work, but there are times when one-word answers will work. Or just, like an emoji or whatever. Okay, so let me give you some examples. One-word answers can come across as uninterested, like fine, K, whatever. When you hear those things, you think that person doesn't care about what I'm talking about. But one-word answers or emojis is fine in these examples. The question is generally yes and no. Did you lock the door? Did you put out the dog? Did you, that's a yes or no. So yes and no is fine there, right? Now you're confirming something simple. Like, if I ask you, hey, hey, I'll see you at 7, and you say yep, or cool, or give me a thumbs up, I mean, that's fine, because that answers the entire question. Make sense? So you're in the middle of something, you need to respond quickly. You can say, can I call you later? And if they say definitely, or yes, or, something like that, they can answer with one question, because that's all that's needed. Now, the problem is that if you answer with one question and it's not an easy response, then, if the question that you was asked was too complicated for one word, then it just frustrates the other person, and it puts the burden on them to try to go through explaining it better. Now, when is a one word not fine? when you ask multiple parts and options of a question, if you're responding to the other person's, emotional effort to write, if another person's writing a long, detailed, personal, or emotional text, you don't want to say like, okay, fine. I mean, that's rude. Okay. So, and also finding K, especially K, it's kind of passive aggressive. So the bottom line is what? Context is everything. One-word responses aren't always rude, but they can be based on the question, the relationship, and the tone. All right? So, yes, no question, of course. Yeah. Thanks, Susan. So, it depends, but there are times when yes and no works, or one-word answer works, and sometimes it doesn't. Now, is coffee saving your life? I don't drink coffee, but today I am. Maybe explain that to you later. So, is coffee saving your life? Now, your daily coffee may be doing more than just boasting your focus or giving you a little of energy. It might actually be protecting your life. Listen to this study. Okay? This study finds that it may cancel out the mortality risks of sitting for long hours each day. So if you're a person that sits and sits and sits all day long, it may be helping you by drinking coffee. Coffee drinkers have a 23% lower death risk than non-coffee drinkers that sit more than 6 hours a day. That's what this thing showed. All right. As expected, sitting was harmful. We already knew that. Sitting around all day long is not great for you. So movement is essential. More studies are needed to confirm whether coffee is truly, helping. But, in this study, sitting more than 8 hours a day was linked to 46% higher all-cause mortality risks and 78% higher cardiovascular mortality risk compared to those that sit less than 4 hours a day. Now, independent from setting, high coffee intake was associated with lower mortality risk overall. The most important thing from this joint analysis, it says prolonged setting showed a clear mortality penalty in non-coffee drinkers than it does in coffee drinkers. That's what it shows. What do you think? I mean, you guys think coffee makes you feel better? I have a theory about this, okay? This is Tim's theory. You drink coffee, you go to the bathroom, right? Now, on your way back, you run into a friend or two, and you talk a little bit, and you tell jokes, and you laugh a little bit, and you tell about what happened, dinner last night, and So, coffee drinkers probably do live longer, not because they get exercise, but because, number one, they need to go to the bathroom a lot, so they get some exercise there. But it's also because they don't get enough work done because they're wasting time going to the bathroom and talking to people on the way back, and they need more time to get their work done. That's my theory. I don't know. So anyway, I got one more story, and this is kind of a little Bible thing that I'm doing. Let me ask you a question. Did you ever wonder why Jesus prayed? Now think about it for a minute. Jesus came from heaven. I mean, he knew the Father intimately, right? So it's all about the coffee. That's right, Tom. Now, why did Jesus pray? I mean, why did he feel a need to pray? I mean, if he had to pray, how much do you think maybe we need to pray? You ever think about that? Now, in Luke's gospel, talks over and over again about Jesus withdrawing to pray. Okay? In fact, Luke records at least seven moments, and when Jesus prayed before something big was happening. I mean, that's what he did. At his baptism, while he was praying, heaven opened up. So the Spirit descended. Direction was released. Prayer marked the beginning of his public obedience to the will of the Father. But before that, Hey, you know what? Before that, he was just a carpenter. All right. Well, Hebrews tells us that something even deeper. Okay. So Jesus prayed with strong crying tears sometimes. He prayed in anguish sometimes. He prayed in surrender sometimes. He prayed when obedience would be hard on him, what he was about to do. The Bible says that through those prayers, he learned obedience. He became something that he had not been before. You see, prayer shapes us. It forms us. It matures us. See, you have to understand something. We talk a lot about his suffering, but suffering didn't really define him. Although we talk about his suffering, people talk about his suffering. I don't know if you do or not, but a lot of people do. But that didn't define Jesus. Praying did. Praying defined him. See, betrayal, which he handled, didn't stop him, didn't break him, because prayer carried him through it. The pressure, all the pressures that he had, didn't disqualify him. You know, prayer seemed to refine him as he went, and at times, you know, prayer can be quiet and restful, and it was for him. Other times, prayer can be difficult and straining. But these, you know, for him, but also for us. Those moments are not when your faith is failing. When praying is difficult and straining and hard, it's not that your faith is failing. Because when pain comes with prayer, God is using it to mold you into who he has called you to be. Jesus survived because he prayed. You can too. Prayer is how we escape going through the things of life. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Prayer is not escaping through the things of life. Prayer is how God uses the things of our life to make you into who he has destined you to be. So today, tomorrow, the rest of this week, next week, when you pray, no matter where you are in your life, where you're praying in a quiet, restful situation, or you're praying under anxiety or whatever, know that God is using your prayers for what you need. He is molding you into the person that he has destined you to be. So don't feel, if you're frustrated, if you're having some fear, if you're having some anguish in the middle of your prayer, it's not a faith problem. It's not a faith problem. You know, it's a faith problem if you are going through those things and don't go to prayer because you don't have the faith in the prayer. So when you're going through those things, you go to prayer, and that's what God has designed us to do. And in those moments, God will help mold you through your prayers, no matter where you are in your prayer life. That's my experience. Hopefully that can be yours too. All right. So listen, everybody, have a great weekend. I'm excited about the weekend. I'm excited. I'll be back here Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. Be blessed, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.